Hey everybody, it's Josh. We are coming into possibly one of the biggest elections in at least modern U.S. history. The country has never been more divided since the Civil War. It is non-stop hate, just spitefulness, lies, demeaning others, often without evidence or on speculation. And I understand people get angry about these things, and it is important to pay attention to these. The Christians who tell you it's not important to pay attention to politics, I understand where they're coming from, but this is our responsibility to decide the best way this country should move forward. But people are evil. And I don't mean everybody is so evil, and even a majority of the people are evil. I mean, things of this world are evil. David Foster Wallace is a brilliant author, wrote the book Infinite Jest, and he was also an atheist, hardcore atheist. But he said there are no atheists in the real world because we all worship something. We worship power, and when we worship power, we will feel weak. We worship money, and when we worship money, we'll never have enough of it. We worship lust, and when we worship lust, then we are made to feel small and insignificant ourselves. Anything besides God, David Foster Wallace, the atheist, says, the worship of it will eat you alive. It will consume you. Because we all have to worship something. It is in our very soul, that desire. Because we live on love and hope. Spiteful, angry people, their hope is in becoming so rich and powerful that they can smite their enemies, or make them look foolish, or have them serve them. Now, this is obviously generalizations. There are billions of people in this world, and there are billions of different perspectives. But the general idea is this: if we do not worship God, we are worshiping something that is going to devour us. I understand how passionate you can get about politics. I really do. You have either hate for one side or love for another. You feel a certain candidate is going to just be, in a lot of cases I'm seeing, the Antichrist. I've heard that a lot from both sides. This is weaponization of faith, weaponization of Christ's love. This is exactly what he warned us not to do. This is exactly what he was teaching us not to do. Let the motorcycle go by. He teaches us to have love and compassion and to not go after someone in revenge or retaliation. Commit no violence in revenge and retaliation. He tells us we can defend ourselves, obviously. And obviously, he says to stand up for ourselves and what we know is right, what we believe is right. I'm not going to get political on this channel because there are probably half of you who would get mad about one thing or another. And then half of you who would agree with me when your side is maybe not just as bad, but has its own set of problems. We all think we are so great. We all think that we know better than anyone else because, as David Foster Wallace also writes, we are the center of our universe. We have no choice in it. That's been our experience since birth. That's all we know is ourselves and how we are the center of everything. I'll tell you one thing that Eastern religions especially got right, Buddhists and Hindus, Buddhists especially. We have to learn to transcend ourself. We have to learn to drop the ego. We have to learn to don't judge lest ye be judged. But it is so hard. And it's no easier for me than it is for you. I tell you these things only because I struggle with them. And so I have to turn to Christ and I have to say, please guide me through this spitefulness I have, through this egotism that I deal with daily. Ego is not something you can just kick out. It is a process of, your ego is going to be there no matter what. So it is a process of taming your ego. So your ego works for you instead of against you. And what do I mean by that? You think, oh, well, the very definition of ego is working for us. I mean working for your faith. So the ego is going to have to tell us, okay, we got to put on a clean shirt and groom ourselves and all the basic things that we have to know for this world. You know, we're going to wipe our butts. We're going to not have boogers hanging out of our nose and walking around. We're not going to just be a complete slob. You see many of the transcended people of Eastern religions walking around with, you know, just seemingly no cares in the world. But often they don't have to deal with the real world. And that's something that, one of the other things that sets us apart from those meditation-based religions. Because Christ wants us to not be a part of this world, but also be in the world, to change the world, to help guide the world towards Him. The main thing that Buddhists don't understand is, yes, transcending your ego is absolutely a beneficial thing. It is great for almost everyone. But there is also going to be a time when you have to deal with things in this world. And a lot of the spiritual people aren't equipped for that. I'm going to move over here. I got people coming. We're not equipped for that because, well, if you don't have God to fall back on, if you don't have the loving example of Christ to fall back on, you are going to be devoured. Again, there is something that we worship. Whether you're transcendent or not, maybe you're worshiping that transcendence. That transcendence can also eat you alive. I've seen many spiritual people, Buddhists, Hindus, New Age spirituality students, I guess. I've seen many of them, they struggle when it comes to the truly existential issues in life. They struggle when they lose a loved one. They struggle when they are presented with a problem that is beyond normal capability of dealing with. I mean, what do you do when you lose everything? I understand that when you're comfortable in life, when you have, well, let's say you're middle class, upper middle class, and you have plenty of money, you don't have to worry about that. You can just travel around, going to different nice places, just doing what you want. And you think, well, this is all that matters in life, is just going meditating by the Grand Canyon or the, Yosemite or somewhere overseas. It sounds nice, doesn't it? But often that spirituality falls apart. You don't have Christ as the basis of it. If you don't at least have God there to fall back on. But most religions don't have the loving God like Christians do. They either have unknown gods, mythological gods, all kinds of, some of them might even worship just the unknown God, the Father. And that is fine. There's nothing wrong with that as a starting point. That's what I did. I went straight to the Father. They call him the unknown God for a reason. He is not knowable except through Christ. Now, we have so much. It's going to be a very, very interesting few months, few years. I mean, the past month alone, today we just had Biden dropping out of the race. Last week we had Trump getting shot in the ear, almost shot in the head. Let me tell you, it is getting so bad. I want you all to understand that no matter how bad it gets, we aren't some Buddhist who just transcends out of the world to escape from it. It's just yet another escape. We transcend our ego, but we must stay in this world to spread the light, to spread the hope. You have the love of Christ to fall back on when things truly get awful. And they most likely will. I hope they won't. I hope I'm wrong. You know, I had someone ask me about the video I did the other day about receiving signs from God. And of course they were bringing, you know, I did mention the prophecy of Trump getting shot in the ear and how I thought that was not a real thing, but I still was open to it. A real prophecy, I mean. And people are going to try to always, they think they're always going to try to push you or pull you to their side. And if they find out you're not, your heels are dug in on one side or the other, then they will attack you, or then they will think less of you, or then they will not have the love for you that they would have had if they wouldn't have ever even known this. You know, there's the old saying, in polite company, don't talk about religion and politics. But Christ showed us that that's all that matters. It really is. Now, you don't go and start starting fights with your family and friends or even strangers. What good is that doing you? What good is that doing anyone? Now, if you were attacked, verbally or physically, obviously, then you can respond not in kind. You turn the other cheek. You respond in peace and compassion and love. Because good is vastly outnumbered in this world. It really is. Evil is thriving because temptation is too great for almost everyone. It was thriving within me. God allows the devil to seemingly have the upper hand in almost every situation. It's like, how do you compete with the offer of riches, of desires fulfilled? How do you compete with that? Certainly, when you are young, you're going to take the temptation. You're going to take the desires fulfilled. You're going to go for the easy, wide path instead of the narrow path that leads to salvation. But I'm telling you, as much as it seems to be outnumbered in the side of darkness, we are all on the winning side when we are on Christ's side. This is because Christ is like the ultimate, we'll call him the weapon of mass peace instead of mass destruction. There's a mass peace there that is undeniable. You know, you look at people like, you know, Mother Teresa or MLK or, you know, so many others. They didn't fight with violence. They didn't fight with swinging back in kind, eye for an eye. They fought back with peace. They're warriors of peace. They were understanding of each situation. They were trying to find and to appeal to the Christ-like qualities within us. But then again, look at where it got MLK. Look at where it gets so many. Look at where it got the apostles. It is something that most aren't willing to sacrifice. I don't know if I am at sometimes. Feels like the hardest thing to do. I tell myself I am. I tell myself a lot of things that aren't true. I try to bring myself and prepare myself every single day so I can get to that point where I am willing to give everything for the innocent, for peace. I'm willing to put my money where my mouth is. But hoping I can do that, it does not mean I can do it. We are all going to fall short so many times. We cannot get discouraged by this. If we get discouraged by this, it's going to be just a drain on us. And it'll throw us right back to the wolves. It'll throw us right back into that ego and temptation and desire. I really do think that many people have to understand that we are not living in times that are so different than every other time. We've been living in peace for a while, so all these things seem unexpected. All these things seem so out of line with what we've come to know. But times of peace don't last, just like times of war don't last. We have to strive to do better. We have to strive to transcend that ego, just like the Buddhists do, or those who meditate, or the spiritual. Only when we get past the ego and start taming the ego, we have the love and compassion of Christ to fall back on. We have the ultimate weapon of peace. I know it is so hard, and I know that so many of you, because I am too, and I was especially, so passionate about all these political issues and all these, societal issues. And please continue to stand up for what you believe is right. But there is no man, especially not in politics, that you can put your faith into. You put your faith in God's plan, and you vote how you feel Christ would want you to vote. How can we best avoid wars? How can we keep innocence alive? How can we feed the hungry and clothe the poor. Nobody has a great answer for any of these things, but there are some that are better than others. Only you can decide that for yourself. You have to be honest about it. If you're looking at, oh, this awful person is running for office, we don't know who it's going to be now on the Democrats, maybe Kamala. If you're looking at a person and saying how awful they are because of they've given you probably a long history of things they've shown you. But then again, also a lot of the things you hear are lies about both sides. We live in our little bubbles. Conservatives watch conservative media and Democrats watch liberal media. Now, it is vastly tilted one way, I understand that. I think that 8 out of 10 are journalists, are actual registered Democrats and donate to Democrat causes. But the truth is only in one place. No matter what you hear, no matter what you see, the truth is only with Christ. So please, during this time, it is going to test you to the max. No matter what side you are on. Again, I can't stress that enough. It's going to test you so much. But you have to try your best to live with love and compassion. It does not mean your passion for issues that you think are very important don't matter. But your neighbor who is the opposite politically of you is a child of God just like you are. Open your heart to them and talk to them not about these divisive issues. Talk to them about how they can be saved from the spite and the anger and the division of this world. And I understand it's very divisive being a Christian, especially nowadays. It has been many times before in the past too. But you transcend all of that. You really do. You will be on a hard road. Standing up for what you believe in is the hardest thing to do. Especially when all the cool people or all the people that you look up to are exactly the opposite. Many people I knew in high school that I thought were just the coolest guys. I mean, like, oh man, I wish they were my friends. They have hate for Christians. I mean, pure hate for them. So, it's not going to be easy. It's not a great selling point, is it? But the only selling point that matters is when you feel that love overcome you. Your life will be saved. That's it for now. God bless you all. Talk to you soon.